Here comes the fear again, never sure of how or when. Eyes burn with tears again. You'll reach for me and then Howdy music lovers, Tom from Blakgraz here. That is an old song of mine called You'll Know My Love. Very old classic rock stylish, kind of Led Zeppelin-ish, and very slinky when you hear it. It's a lot of fun, a lot of slide, a lot of distortion, and a very heavy song, but real melodic. I like that tune. It's been a while since I've played it live, and I got to do it not too long ago at Jerry's Juke Joint, and it just reminded me of what a great tune that was. I'm going to be working that into the show more. So before I get too far in, I want to let everybody know this is Betty 2.0 or Betty Jr. This is another one of Vaughn's, Vaughn Shannon's guitars, from his personal collection, a custom build out of Austin, Texas. And he loaned this to me while he's working on my guitars. I covered that in another video, but just as a reminder, he's working on Tiff, my Strat. He actually has to do the frets on that or replace the neck. He actually is working on Stella. She was buzzing out a little bit at the higher frets, and he's going to put a kill switch on for her. He's going to work on Betty. She actually was fine, except this switch down here, when I hit it hard sometimes it would cut out a little bit, but I think he's also going to put a kill switch on her. And then Sandy was having a little bit of trouble with the higher frets, kind of like Stella also, so he's putting a new neck on both Stella and Sandy. So I'll get 4 guitars being worked on, and he's like, hey, in the meantime, you can take my 2 personal guitars and use them to either practice on, or if you have a show, you can play a show. I'm hoping that he'll be done before I have a show at the beginning of January while we're on break and such. But just in case, I've got these beautiful guitars to kind of mess around with or use if I need. And it is beautiful. It's just amazing. So this is a lot like Betty. If y'all have seen my videos, it's got the sunburst, although the neck is maple instead of the rosewood or ebony that I have on Betty. And the controls are a little bit different too. It's actually a 3-way like Betty, but Betty's is this way, or no, this way, and the knobs are a little bit different. He said this switch doesn't actually do anything, so I guess he just put it there for future use. If he decides he wants to put something on there. But a beautiful guitar, and I really appreciate him letting me just have a couple guitars to work with just in case, or even just to keep practicing, to keep the chops up, you know. Even on vacation, I have to really work on my hands. Also, I want to give a shout out to Highway 64 out of Copper Hill, Tennessee, Andy and Gabby. Howdy y'all, we miss you. Our family and friends up there in Tennessee. We miss everybody. In fact, there's so many folks up there that we've just love. You know, we had such a good time every time we play through there. So wanted to give a shout out to them. Highway 64. Make sure when you get there, you try the Hell Burger. That is the hottest burger I have ever had in my life. Make sure you have at least 4 iced teas or something, 4 of something to drink, and about 3 hours to sit around and nibble on this super hot burger. So what we're going to talk about next in this video is As the Wheels Turn on Rufus, the soap opera that is our camper. It's almost like Rufus knows that we're starting to get ahead a little bit and we have a little bit of time, and so something that needs to be fixed becomes more immediate. Well, just last night I was pulling into this Cracker Barrel where we're staying here in San Antonio, and I went to back out and pull in again to get better angle on the parking spot. And when I did my walk around, because before I leave and when I arrive, every time I always do a full walk around and check the ground, especially underneath. I'm looking for any stains, oil stains or anything, right? Because if there's something there before I got there, then I know it's not me when I go to leave. But if there was all clean and I go to leave and there's a stain now, that means I got to find something. Well, there was a stain from me backing up and pulling back in again. And I could easily tell from the puddle that it was transmission fluid. You put your finger in it and it's not gritty or dirty like an oily like oil. It was pink and pure pink, like transmission fluid. So I'm like, ah, cripe. So I get underneath the Rufus with a flashlight, and I'm looking. Sure enough, the maxi brake that we had put on in Ohio by James with that big new bracket, the 2 bottom bolts, I go to tighten them. I'm just checking, is everything tight? Because that's usually when it leaks, is something came loose, right? And son of a gun, those 2 bottom bolts are spinning like they're stripped. So I'm like, oh shoot, I've got stripped bolts. Can I get it to tighten up enough to get to a Napa or an auto parts store to get something to be able to re-tap the hole and put new threads in, right? Well, I go under today because obviously today nothing's open. It's Christmas Day, the 25th. So everybody's closed. So we just hung out, did some other stuff on Rufus, which I'll explain here in just a minute. But finally, when I did get under there to see if I could pull them out and maybe put in some copper wire to hold it temporarily till we got to the Napa, to drive to the Napa, well, it turns out that the bolts didn't strip. It actually sheared off. 2 of them sheared off. So there's no thread on there. What that is, it's an extension. So it allows it to connect before it starts to thread. So you can see this is the one that goes next to where the bracket is on the maxi brake. So these go into the transmission, right? They go in like this, and from your angle. So basically, this one is not on the parking brake bracket. So this part that's not threaded is smaller. So the bigger part here that's not threaded is the part that goes on the bracket, so that it has clearance for the bracket and then clearance going into the hole where the thread starts. So that means that there's about that much bolt still in the hole that I have to figure out either how to get out or just drill and create a new hole and re-tap it and thread it. As if that weren't enough. So now I got stuff on my fingers. Hang on a second here. So I thought it was going to be a simple, okay, the threads are stripped. I'm just going to pull the bolts out and then drill the hole, re-tap it, and re-thread it. That's basically the process. And there's kits out there. They're not real expensive. Even the most expensive one is $60 or $100. It's not that much. And I've got the drill. And once you get the kit, you can do both holes because it has multiple thread inserts with the drill bit, with the punch, with the thread applicator. So that's not that big a deal. I can do that. That's not, hard to do. Well, then I find out that the bolts sheared off, right? So they just twisted right off because this maxi brake must be pushing so hard. We did put a bigger air cylinder on it because they don't make the old air cylinder. So when James put it on, he put one from the back of a dump truck that they use to help open a dump truck, so it's got more pressure. So the downside of that is now there's more pressure on those bolts, right? There's also the opportunity that these bolts might have been damaged already because they were the original bolts still holding on the old bracket that was literally disintegrating. So there's no way James could have known if they were going to really hold or not. So now it's a matter of, all right, I got to drill out that hole and then tap it and re-thread it.
And the 2 other main bigger bolts are fine. There's no issue. The brand new bolts.
Yeah, the 2 bolts that were up near the top are actually bigger and thicker, and so they're holding. It's down at this bottom curve of the bracket, at the bottom of the transmission casing, that's where those 2 sheared off. They just snapped off. So I think once I drill that hole out and put new bolts in, especially since they're not 25-year-old bolts, it should hold just fine. I'll keep an eye on it, obviously. And if once I do it, I know how to do it if it happens again, so it's not that big a deal, and I'll have the kit. It's just a pain in the butt that I have to drill out this hole again, or that I'll have to drill it out at all, right? I'd rather just be able to pull the screw out, drill, tap, and thread it from an empty hole. No, no, not with Rufus, not as the wheels turn with Rufus in the soap opera that we live. No, no, it's got to have that extra step where basically you got to burn through 1 or 2 drill bits getting that down far enough. Now, that's the other thing too. This is obviously the length. I don't want to go in any further than this threading. So when I drill, I got to make sure the drill bit doesn't go any further than that, because we're talking about the casing of the transmission. Do not puncture the transmission casing.
This is when you start to question your sanity and if we're just...
Oh, yeah, you know, yeah, you get stuff fixed and then you think it's going to hold, and then it just does stuff like this. And it's just, you know, like the other day I had to replace that one elbow joint on the Governor, you know, at a Love's truck stop. I'm underneath putting in a new elbow joint and readjusting the Governor. It worked. I knew how to do it. It didn't take long, thank God.
Because the line was
it had enough slack in it, so it wasn't like I had to put on an extension and all that other happy stuff. So anyway, so while we're waiting, since I can't go, and all the auto parts stores are closed, so I had to just sit around until they're open tomorrow. So I'm going to get up early tomorrow, and I'm going to go take an Uber over to, I think there's a Napa close by, or an O'Reilly's. There's a whole bunch of stuff around us. So fortunately, we're in town and stuff is close. That's good, because we can call ahead and make sure they have the kits, the tap kits, and the drill bits, and the bolts that I'll need. So in the meantime, while we got this day where I can't really call anybody, it's Christmas Eve, you know, Christmas Day. So we decided to take out the chair, the rocking chair that used to be over here. I don't know if you can see. Hold on, I'll turn the lights on.
We've got stuff right now just because...
There used to be a reclining chair there, and it was just in the way.
Well, I'll be showing video as you're talking. So
okay,
they'll see the chair, what was there. And
I mean, we literally used it to hold the printer, right? The printer that we use when we travel. And it really made the walkway through the back very narrow. We almost never sat in it.
It stuck out past further where than your legs are here on this seat. It stuck out by almost at least a good 6 inches into the main walkway to get back and through the kitchen.
So we've been wanting to take that chair out for a long while so that we could put some kind of storage unit in over here and connect it to the floor so it doesn't slide around, put the printer in it, have it be something that can be over top of the kitty litter box near the kitchen, to maybe even give it a little extra counter space. I may just build something. That way it's not only easier, but it'll be a better wood. I can buy better quality wood and then put connections I feel good about, and then connect it to the floor, sand it down and stain it and make it look nice. It doesn't have to be complex, just a shelf and maybe a couple doors in front and up top with space for the kitty litter and
We'd
stuff.
only need 2 of the bolts to come up through the one compartment from
No,
down below.
I'll just be using L brackets down into the wood.
Yeah.
It'll be a little bit longer than, it'll go into the wood flooring. It'll go past the flooring into the wood base floor panel, whatever
It's
that
at least
is.
a good, what, half inch or more?
Oh yeah, it was half-inch plyboard down there. So there's plenty for me to grab onto when I drill a hole down and put something in there. So we took that apart. Well, that became tricky because there were 4 bolts that were holding the base of this rocking chair, this big, thick recliner rocking chair, to the frame of Rufus. And we got 2 of them loose because I could get down underneath in the compartment where all the gear is on the outside and get to the nuts. They had nuts with the vinyl or wax washer on the inside of it, so it doesn't just slip off. So you have to really work it off all the way, but you can't just loosen it from the top because then the nut starts spinning. You have to have somebody down below or up above holding it still while you work the nut off, right? Or work it from the top and hold the nut so that it comes down off the bolt. And they were long because it came from the floor all the way down through that frame, right?
Into like 2-inch metal frame after going through the floor.
Right, so they were long bolts too. And they were on there. I mean, 25 years, really tight still. It was everything we had to just try and break them loose, right? But then I got the first two loose with the nuts off because I had easy access to them from the first compartment, but I couldn't find the other two. There should have been right there in the wheel well, but what they did is they put up the mud flap and then like a 2-inch space where the bolts are on that extra beam, and then the wall for the first part of the compartment and the other beam with the other two bolts.
There's no way to film that.
I had to climb under and look from the tire and start going, there's space between the mud flap and the front compartment wall. Well, then it's a matter of reaching up 3 feet to reach that nut and try and turn it. Well, at first I was trying to turn. I'm like, okay, I can't do this. I can hold this. And Martha started cranking on the top from inside. She banged up her hand and everything too.
I got Rufus war wound.
She got a war wound on her hand, a bruise from slipping and banging. Now she knows, wear gloves, right? So she loosened them up, and I had to and I was reaching up like this, and just junk falling down on my face and in my eyes. I'm like, oh God, rust and dirt and bugs and.
Well, because it wasn't capped off or cleaned off to help prevent road crap coming up, which you'd think they would. But
it's just exposed. It was an outside exposed beam. It's in between the mud flap of the front passenger side wheel and in between the compartment wall that keeps the compartment dry. So it wasn't capped off, but you can't really, there's no way to cap it off. So it was really rusty too. So those finally came out. It was a fight, man. It was a real fight to get that out. So my hands, my forearms were tired, my arms, my back is tired, my legs are tired, my knees were killing me. Thank God I had the knee pads on. So then after that, I wasn't finished. I put a hole here in this cabinet. So I tried to run this wire up through the ceiling, but I couldn't fish it through. And so I'm going to work on that another time and get that and then fill in this hole. But eventually we're just going to replace this whole ceiling anyway. And we're going to replace all of these cupboards. So for now, I drilled a hole and I ran an extension cable because that's where the plugs are, or one of the plugs are for the new inverter that we just put in. So Starlink is up there, it's turned on. We got power that comes down here so we can charge stuff like the solar generator or our phones and computers off of the cabin, the new lithium cabin battery. But now it's not coming out of these front doors, and the doors aren't wedged open and then flopping around, and you have to put a twisty tie on them and all that stuff. We literally are going down the road with twisty ties, duct tape, and bubble gum at this point. Yeah, good times. Good times. Oh boy.
So, again, the questioning of sanity.
Well, man, you get into these situations and you think you're doing so good, right? You think, oh, this is great. People are starting to like our videos. People are starting to like the songs. We're getting more shows, or things are going really good. And then, bam, you run into a brick wall like that. And you start to think, are we doing something wrong? I thought we were vibrating the right way. I thought we were doing all the right things. And you really start to second guess yourself. I think that's the hardest part of this exercise. When stuff like that happens, you start to think, you forget how far you've come, right? You forget 2.5 years at Chris Madrid's building the show and playing in local and Texas, just playing in Texas and building the show and getting the songs strong enough, the show strong enough. Then 1.5 years on the road with 22 different states, busting our hump every night, every weekend, every day, promoting, calling, and then playing, right? And still dealing with Rufus. And you start to, all of that hard work and all of that distance that you've covered just flies out the window in an instant. Like, what did we do to deserve this? Are we bad people? Are we, did we hurt somebody? What did we do wrong? You start to just ask all the wrong questions. So the biggest thing for us at this point, especially this time, was something like the transmission not functioning on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, right? The biggest exercise has been to know we're gonna figure this out. This is what we do. We're on the road all the time. This is the stuff that happens. And so we will just figure it out. We've got internet, we've got power, we've got water, we've got food, and even more important than all of that, and even more important than any financial abundance that we may have or be able to experience, we've got friends. We've got friends who care about us. And that has been the biggest miracle in our lives, I think, that we could possibly ever hope to experience. It is the single driving force for us right now, because sometimes it gets hard. Sometimes it gets really hard and you get really tired. But your friends call you up and check on you and see how you're doing.
Like Dave.
Or your friends call you back because you text them on Christmas Eve and say, do you know anything about stripped bolts, Taylor?
Taylor, love you, Taylor.
People who actually are rooting for you, like Vaughn, so excited to see us and so happy that we're having success and that we're finding our way and that we're finding our legs on the road. And as a musical brand, you know, it's still a business. We still have to run a business as well as try to be a musician and enjoy the art too. And so it's those friends that night after night after night, mile after mile after mile, song after song, that we dedicate our focus to, and their love and support. And that extends to everybody who watches these videos too.
Well, and the friends we've made on the road, not ones that we've known very long. I mean, especially Beth and Jeff, to let us crash at their house, literally pull up Rufus in the backyard, and Jeff help us with that bearing and the tires and all that.
Just like Andy and Gabby when we first had trouble with the air system. Just like
time, yeah.
Jacob and James and Josh, who've helped us fix. Josh got me to a show in his truck. He drove me personally. I mean, and Rob and Angie, who've found Josh for us, have helped amazingly. Wouldn't stop calling people till they found me a ride. I mean, that we have so many new amazing friends out there all over the country that basically every state we've been to now feels like home. When we go back and we play, it feels like home. We've been there, we know them, and we see them and we hug them, and we're so excited to be able to visit with them again. All the folks we know up in Ohio, all the folks we know up in Nebraska, Indiana, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, all the way over in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Every place we've played, even West Virginia, I mean, Kentucky, Tennessee, my gosh, Mississippi, Texarkana, Arkansas,
Maryland
and Delaware, North Carolina, South Carolina, Anthony, the whole crew at Anthony's. I mean, even the folks that we met from Evan and Brenda, right, from Canada. Mm-hmm. He's another artist, and we met him in South Carolina, traveling around, got to see his show, became friends. Would love to do some more work with him and maybe record something eventually, now that I can hook up the big computer to the cabin battery, that I can get more stuff done. I think that's the most exciting thing. So as much of a bummer as it can be that Rufus has his moments, right? As the wheels turn on Rufus, that we are blessed to have so many good people in our lives that can help us stay focused and help us find the resources and the support that we need to get him running again and us keep moving down the road. One of the things that we want to do eventually, and I would love to see this come to fruition, is to be able to have a private concert where all the people we've ever met, that we've become friends with over the years of touring now, could all come and meet each other. How cool would that be? Everybody gets to meet Vaughn. Everybody gets to meet Dave Pendergraph. Everybody gets to meet Beth and Jeff. Everybody gets to meet Rob and Angie. Everybody gets to meet Andy and Gabby. Everybody gets to meet Sean and Nikki. Everybody gets to meet all these amazing people, right? and Dave and Tammy all the way up at St. Mary's, right? And Angie up at Bear Claw, right? All these amazing people come together.
Terry and Jeff.
Rodney, Kayla and Rodney. All these wonderful people get to come together and meet each other, because they're all wonderful people that we've met. I know that they would love meeting each other. They'd have a blast. It would be one heck of a party. So that's one of the things I would like to see happen. And imagine doing that every year, where every year Blakgraz has this get together. All the people come who we've met and become friends with. And they, instead of just meeting each other, they get to catch up and, well, how are things going up in, St. Mary's? How are things at Bear Claw? How are things at Highway 64? How are things going? Hey, I've got this idea for your place. It worked at our place. Hey, what's going on with your music store? What's going on with Custom Build? How are things with Healthy Protocol? What's going on, right? That would be super, super cool. So anyway, that's one of my goals in the future, is to have everybody finally meet each other, because we love all of y'all. Y'all have been instrumental in keeping us focused, keeping us positive, and believing in Blakgraz and moving forward down the road.
Yep.
Especially like a day like yesterday and today. So thanks everybody for listening. That's the update for now for As the Wheels Turn on Rufus.
Or don't.
I have to laugh or I'll start crying. So please make sure, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Please check out the links down below. Remember, we got CDs online for sale and merch for sale. At the shows, actually, you can get handmade t-shirts and, of course, emotional support beverage beer koozies or beverage koozies. And even better, I just get to shake your hand and look you in the eye and say thank you. All right, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget our Tuesday lives, and I'll talk to you real soon.